Hey nerds, what's up? Because this is my best performing video and because a lot of you commented on different games that I should try, we are doing 5 more aesthetically pleasing board games. These are the 5 games that I talked about last time, so if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it up here somewhere. But we have 5 more aesthetically pleasing board games to talk about. Why do I love aesthetically pleasing board games? Well, if you have something beautiful and something really fun to play, it's really just the best of both worlds. And I figure a lot of you also agree with that. So let's get started. Number 1. Quartz. Quartz is a simple luck of the draw game. You are all dwarves with your own minecarts digging for gems in the mines. There are 7 different types of jewels you can gather: quartz, amethyst, emerald, sapphire, ruby, amber, and the worthless obsidian. Each player takes turns passing around the bag of gems and reaching in to pull out a gem at random. You keep whatever you find. If you find 1 obsidian, you're safe. Get 2 obsidian and you lose all of your jewels for the day and head out of the mine. When you leave the mine because of the obsidian, you get an obsidian token, which you can use at any time in the next round to trade in the token to get rid of an obsidian you happen to pull. There are 5 rounds, and the longer you stay, the more guaranteed you are to get a card and a money bonus for being the bravest dwarf. All players start with no jewels, but several cards that allow you special abilities, like grabbing 3 gems at once and return any found obsidian into the bag. There are also cards that force other players to do things for you, or to throw obsidian in their direction. There are response cards, indicated by the purple background, that can block certain attacks. At the end of each round, players trade in their gems and count up their earnings. If you found a particularly expensive gem and don't want to cash it in yet, you can place up to 2 in your chest, but only at the end of the round. The art of Quartz is so good, and the simple but immersive feeling of the game really makes it pleasing in my eyes. Risk it all or play it safe. See what beautiful gems you find, and whoever earns the most coin wins. Quartz was honestly one of the first board games that I ever actually bought for myself, so I have a special place for this guy.
Hey nerds! Just as a disclaimer, I did want to say that Quartz the game, I think, was discontinued and was re-implemented into other games, like a new game in 2018, Snow White and the 7 Dwarves, a gemstone mining game, which is basically the exact same game, but with the Disney print on it. And a more recent rendition is Friday the 13th, Horror at Camp Crystal Lake, where instead of mining for gems, you're randomly choosing specific tools that can help you survive Friday the 13th. So if you like the type of risk it all game, I would recommend those to you. With that in mind, you can still find Quartz on the internet, but it's going for about $200. So just to let you know, I do apologize that I put a game on here that's really hard to get now.
Okay, next one. Root.
Play as a forest creature and try to claim control of the forest in the adventure war board game Root. You can play as 4 different factions, each with their own unique way of reaching 30 points to win the game. You can play as Marquis de Cat, the current rulers of the forest, keeping control and establishing further dominance by building more facilities throughout the forest. Claim the forest back as the Eerie Dynasty, who had control of the forest for generations but let it slip through their grasp over the years to the dreaded felines. Free the forest of tyrannical grasp with the Woodland Alliance. Establish keeps throughout the forest, and gain sympathy from fellow residents. Feel like watching the show from the sidelines? You can play as the Vagabond, someone who can disappear between areas and trade with all 3 different factions. You can earn their loyalty or keep them at bay. It's up to you, but you must complete different quests throughout the game to earn points. All players start with 3 cards that can be used for either crafting certain goods or trading or using them for their means of play. And all players go through the same stages of their turn: birdsong, daylight, and evening. Root's artwork is reminiscent of old fairy tale drawings. It's whimsical and enthralling. The map design is lovely, and the fact that it is double-sided just adds more story and elements to the game. You can add even more to Root by getting their expansions, including the Riverfolk expansion, which adds the Otters of the Riverfolk Company and Lizards of the Lizard Cult. You also get another version of the Vagabond. So cute. There is also the Underworld expansion, which adds the Ravens of the Corvid Conspiracy and the Moles of the Great Underground Duchy. This expansion includes another 2-sided map, with the mountain map where you can dig tunnels, or fight to control the ferry on the lake map. Root is so immersive from the world building and the player tokens, and the gameplay is strategic and thoughtful. It is a game that could easily be used to create an epic board game tournament. You guys might also have noticed that my slipcovers are a little different this time. Last time I had these slipcovers, you could actually see the sides of my board games, and so that might have given some spoilers away. So this time I wanted to cover it and make sure. So that's why they're coming off a little bit awkwardly. Next up, is the game Everdell. Now this one is extra special because it has a beautiful slipcover with all the artwork and fancy foil, because it's the Everdell Collector's Edition. So, Everdell. Another more peaceful game featuring critters and forests is the game Everdell. Your goal in Everdell is to collect the most victory points. In order to do so, you must build constructions and have different critters in your town. You can send out workers from your village to gather resources of different kinds: twigs, resin, berries, or pebbles. Depending on what type of constructions you want to build, that will determine what type of resources you want to go for. You have a maximum of 15 spaces for cards in your village. As each season passes, you will receive more workers to help you gather more resources and have more turns. You want to be careful where your workers are placed, because once one critter is there, you can't share that space in that season. You'll have to wait until next season, unless the space is open for more than one critter. There are also ways to gather other victory points as well. By the Evertree, there are 4 basic event tiles, which can reward you points if you meet the requirement. On top of the Evertree, there are 4 special events you can strive for by having those specific cards in your town. If you have both cards placed in your town, you can use that special ability or gain points. Every critter works at their own pace. Some critters might finish their work early and move on to the next season, while others can place more cards and build more constructions. Once every critter has worked through winter, you tally all of your victory points from your village. Whoever has the most points wins. The stunning illustrative artwork, the beautiful 3D Evertree, and the different textures and feelings of each of the resources that you can gather really makes Everdell such an immersive and whimsical game. It is definitely one of my favorites to play. Next one. Atlantis Rising. Atlantis Rising is a cooperative board game where each player is an Atlantean trying to gather the proper resources to build all the components needed to make a cosmic gate and escape the sinking city. You have different types of leaders to choose from, each with their own special ability that will help you face the dire circumstances around you. Once you choose your leader type, you start with 3 followers and 3 mystic energy. There are 4 stages per round that all players participate in. First, you place your characters on one of the 6 peninsulas or in the center of Atlantis. Each peninsula will give your character a specific action they can perform in the 3rd stage of the round. After all the characters are placed, you go through misfortunes. Each player chooses 2 cards from the misfortune deck, revealing either a type of peninsula or a special misfortune card. If it shows one of the 6 types of peninsulas, you must sink the furthest out piece of the peninsula. If it is a special card, you follow the instructions accordingly. After each player has pulled 2 misfortune cards, your characters can now take their actions. On the Library Peninsula, you can pull the 2 library cards from the deck and choose one to keep. Usually, library cards are a one-and-done action, but if you pull an artifact card, you can use that card once per round. On the Cities Peninsula, you can roll your dice and add the Wrath of the Gods number to your roll to get another worker to help gather resources and take more actions. You have to roll the number equal to or higher than what the board indicates. On the Forest Peninsula, you roll your dice to get crystal. On the Hills Peninsula, you roll your dice to get gold. And on the Mountains Peninsula, you roll your dice to get ore. On the Forges Peninsula, you trade in your ore for the number of bars indicated on the tile. In the center tile, you gain a Mystic Energy. Mystic Energy can grant certain benefits throughout the game, so the more you have, the more you can use to help protect Atlantis from sinking. You can also go to the circular Cosmic Gate board and place a character there to build one of the many components in order to create the gate. You have to create all 9 of them before you can build the power core to escape and win the game. The benefit of building is if you and another player place your characters on the same area, you can pool your resources to build a component. All players must pool resources for the power core to win the game. After every character has taken their action, you suffer the Wrath of the Gods, which is indicated on the Wrath of the Gods track. You start at 0 and slowly move up to 3. The number indicates how many peninsula tiles you have to sink at the end of each round. If all peninsulas and the center tile have been sunk, you lose. The 3D resources, stunning artwork, and interactive parts of the game really make Atlantis Rising immersive and aesthetically pleasing. I love the different Eastern styles of art and clothing to make up the Atlantean culture, as well as the detailed boards. You can make the game even more immersive by purchasing the Atlantis Rising playmat, which just adds another layer to the overall aesthetic of the game. I have really enjoyed playing this game, and I'm happy to put this on my list of beautiful games. This desk is getting full! And finally, last but certainly not least, Wingspan. Wingspan is a bird collection engine building game for up to 1 to 5 players. Each player gets their own large playmat to collect birds, lay eggs, and much more. They also get their own personal objective to help them earn extra points. Bird cards are the main source of gathering points, which each player will start with 2 to 3 bird cards and several resources. All players will also start with 8 action cubes, in whatever color they choose. You will have 8 actions in the first round, and there are 4 different types of actions. To play your bird, you must place them in the matching terrain icon that is on the top left corner of the card. It will also cost you a resource that the bird eats, which are invertebrates, seeds, grain, fish, or mice. You place your bird in the leftmost part of your board. The more birds you place, the more expensive it will be. After you fill up your first column, each bird costs 1 egg to place, including the resources you have to provide. You can gather resources by placing an action cube in the Gather Resource row, in the leftmost empty space. You gather resources from the bird feeder, the number of resources indicated by the space on your board. You'll have the 5 options of resources to choose from. Once all the resources are taken from the bird feeder, you can re-roll them to get new options. You can lay eggs by placing an action cube in the Lay Eggs row. Each bird has a limited number of eggs that can be laid, which is indicated on their card. You can also see that each bird is worth certain points, indicated by the feather, and also has a certain type of nest it builds.
all of this info is important in the different aspects of the game. You can also draw a bird card by placing an action cube in that row. The number of cards you can take is indicated in the space. You can either take a card from the pile or from a card where the 3 birds are displayed. If you take from the display, it will refill with a new bird. After every player has done all 8 actions for the first round, you will find out who has won the round bonus. Every round has a bonus that is indicated next to the round number, and there are many different types of bonuses. Your players place one of their action cubes on the appropriate rank. They can tie for any place, and winning the bonuses just adds more points to your overall score. With that, you start the next round only having 7 actions. You continue to leave 1 action cube at the end of each round until you only have 5 in the last round. Wingspan is a beautiful, immersive game with lovely 3D elements like the bird feeder and the eggs. Along with their bird cards, they have such detailed, stunning artwork and facts about the almost 200 types of birds in this game. It was such a good investment, and I'm grateful to all who recommended me trying this game out. Well, these are 5 more aesthetically pleasing board games. They are so fun. I've played each and every one of them. I don't own all of them. These 2 were kindly loaned to me from my sister and her husband. I love these games. They're beautiful. Which one is your favorite? Have you ever played any of these? And please, of course, let me know which games I should try out next, especially if you think they are aesthetically pleasing and beautiful. Thanks again so much for watching. I have more board game content on my channel, along with other nerdy content and art content, so there's a lot to choose from. Feel free to subscribe, like this video, please, it really helps me out. And of course, thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Hello, esteemed colleagues. Define where the camera is. So heavy! We are doing another 5. We are doing, because this video is my best performing. So, because it's the Everdell Collector's Edition. Not gonna go well. Go. Awesome.